सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति.
So let there be light, let there be truth, and let there be immortality. So that's the gist of this prayer is, and may that energy bless you all with all these things. So again, many of you might have joined our earlier of our sessions, so you might be familiar with my face. I'm Amit Kumar Chaudhary, and I head the technology division of a PRAGYATMIKA. And as a PRAGYATMIKA, as an organization, we are having the experiences in the domains of embedded systems, the intelligent of IoT and the industrial IoT, the embedded artificial intelligences, the automotives, the electric vehicles, the battery electronics, the automotive electronics, and the industrial electronics. All these are the latest of the domains are our working areas in which we give the three of services, that is the consultancy, the training, and the R&D facilities. So being in this domain, being the professionals in the domain, it is our responsibility to know the fraternity about what is happening the latest, and that's where we keep organizing such kind of sessions, and many of you who have joined earlier also the sessions on the various of the topics. Being in the technology and the training domain, we come across with lots of professionals and the entrepreneurs about the hydrogen and lithium and all, because electric vehicle is the one which is booming nowadays. Lots of new happenings are happening in the electric vehicle domain, whether it is towards the business or towards the consumer sides. But always at the end, there is a requirement of an energy, and we are always in a search of a clean energy, whether it is the production or it is the emission at both of the ends. And also the economics plays a very vital role when we are using any of the thing as a source of energy. Not only the economics, but it is the satisfaction of the user towards the timeliness, towards the performance, and all of the things. So lots of questions that keep arising to us that whether hydrogen vehicle is going to replace the electricals. It is the similar kind of a thing that we used to hear 2-3 years back, that the electric is going to replace completely the IC engine based vehicles. So our answer is that everyone has its own use cases. It is nothing like that anything is going to be replaced. Everyone has its own use case. Everyone has its own advantages. Everyone has its own disadvantages and the application areas. It is on us that where we would be selecting which kind of an energy source, which kind of vehicle, and which kind of a driving patterns are there, which would be leading us to selection of all of this. So hydrogen is again a source of energy, and lots of things are happening nowadays, and lots of things are going to happen in the future in the hydrogen, and a completely of a hydrogen economy that is coming up. And being in India, the government of India has also taken on lots of measures towards this hydrogen economy, and there are chances of the export of energy also from the India in case of the hydrogen. And it is available from the natural of the resources, so lots of new things that could be done in this domain. So this is a 5-session webinar we have kept in. This is not a single of a session. This is the initial one, but we have planned on 5 of our sessions in this series, where we will be keeping on the various of topics on the hydrogen, the applications, the productions, how the use cases of the hydrogen could be for the various of energy starved applications, the e-mobility, the first of a thing that we are going to talk today, but there are the lots of applications. Again, in the case of e-mobility, there are the multiple of use cases are there. So we are trying to include all the things in these 5 sessions, for which you will be informed time to time when we are when we will be finalizing the dates of it, as the speakers are getting speakers are in and we are in the process of getting the dates from them. So within 3 months, we will have the 5 sessions, and we will try to give you all the good information, what is happening in the domain. Today, it is the first session. We are trying to give you the first of a curtain raiser on this, like what is the energy evolution and how this clean energy transition is happening. What are the global and the national level policy frameworks are there? What are the things that is happening all across the major countries? There is also very important of a thing, and this is what has happened over a discussion with Professor Amrin Narayan Pandey. He is one of our source of inspiration. The nature, the hydrogen is one of the nature things. So what is the spiritual connect of a hydrogen? That's what also we will be going to create a glimpse today, but we will have a detailed session on in later on, where there are lots of research opportunities are there. He has developed a model on this. Thereafter, today we will be talking about the application and use cases of a hydrogen in the green mobility segment, and a particular of techno-commercial differences that it has from the lithium domain. Thereafter, we will be also talking a little bit about the storage of hydrogen, how it is stored on the vehicles, and what are the limitations into this, and what are the challenges and barriers. So these are the things that we are going to talk today. And in this talk, I'm blessed to have the presence of 2 of our source of inspirations. One is Professor Amrendra Narayan Pandey. He is a retired scientist with Bhava Atomic Research Center facility, Kalpakkam. He has a special of interest during his scientific times as the waste to energy. And right now he has he is heading the spiritual awareness program based out in Hyderabad. I'll give the detailed introduction to him later in the session. And we are enough blessed to have the Padma Shri Dr. Prahalada Ramarao. He is currently the Pro-Chancellor with S. Vyasa, the Yoga University at Bangalore. And earlier he was Chief Controller with DRDO, Ministry of Defense. And he is the man behind the Akash missiles, BrahMos missiles, and many of it. So let's have a round of applause for our both of guest of honors today, that he has spared their times to talk on the particular of the topic today. And let's get benefited through his experiences. So as the thing is, the hydrogen, that is the most of a common element available in the universe, the most of the abundant material available, that is in a singularity. It is not created, not destroyed kind of a thing. And hydrogen is a very vital region for the life and the evolution on Earth. So whether you take the water element or it is the plant sources, so from any of there you take the hydrogen, and hydrogen is also responsible for the outer universe and the inner universe, both, whether it is within you or outside of you, both of where the hydrogen is. And if you believe in the Big Bang theory, so the massively compressed black hole, that concept is where the implosion has happened and the hydrogen atom has exploded all over the universe. And that's where that led to the life where the suitable conditions were. So in a very of a beginning, can we say that hydrogen is a source of a life? It is the energy, definitely. And it is a creator also, because it is responsible for growth and evolutions. So, so to talk on little on this, the spiritual of a connect, I will first invite Professor Amrendra Narayan Pandey on this topic. As I told you that he is director with the Spirituality Awareness Program, and earlier of which he was with Bhava Atomic Research Center facility. He has degree in process equipment design and ME He has written many of her books on the joint interconnection of a science and spirituality together. Some of books I have listed over here, but it is more than 3,000 of a book he has written in the forms of the paperback, in the forms of the online ebooks and all, which is available through multiple of the publishers in and outside India. You can get to know about him on his website, yogicconcepts.in. So, and recently we had conducted a very informative webinar with him on the post-nuclear crisis management through yoga. That is also a very important of a thing to talk in today's world when we are in a fear of such. So not to waste further the time, let's invite Professor Amrindra Narayan Pandey first to give little idea of that hydrogen and its production and its connect with them. So,
actually, thank you very much for a nice introduction. This seminar actually on hydrogen, what we have organized, is a very vital subject, and naturally it draws the attention from all the angles. Everybody is very interested because hydrogen will be, or surely it will be, a sort of replacement of hydrocarbons and all. This is because we are suffering from global warming because of carbon emission. So naturally, other source of energy which will not produce a lot of carbon, or which will be minimizing the carbon emission, should be taken into consideration. So hydrogen is the most favorable fuel which is now being considered. In case of hydrogen, as soon as I have taken the subject, in case of hydrogen, we are very well known that hydrogen is plenty, it is available in a large quantity in interstellar zone as well as in planetary zone. All the planets, they are also having the hydrogen and helium. Because of that, hydrogen is very much available all over the cosmic atmosphere, and it is available here also, but indirectly. In this connection, we have to understand that how this hydrogen, as Mr. Amit ji was mentioning, that after Big Bang, this hydrogen came into picture. So once Big Bang happened, what scientists are telling, and in fact it is Big Bang is not one time sort of incidence, but it is going on regularly. So in that case, first how it happened, that time quark appeared, and quark was having only proton and neutron, and they went on combining. That makes the hydrogen first. And with that, we had plenty of hydrogen. In due course, there in the cosmos, that hydrogen formation got multiplied, and because of gravity, because of nebula formation, they become hydrogen got compressed, and then they become the helium. And what stars we are viewing, all are helium. So helium, and the sun is also one of the stars. So what happens that all hydrogen what we have produced in the cosmos, that gets converted to helium, and hydrogen is still present. So that way, in our interstellar system as well as in our planetary system, hydrogen is the major fuel for even for sun or for stars. That is already well proven by the science. Now, once there was a seminar at SVIASA during 2014, where a specialist of hydrogen or scientists working on hydrogen, they came to just have a discussion. And in that seminar, we were, I was also fortunate to participate. In that seminar, around 6-7 world top scientists who were working on hydrogen and anti-hydrogen, they were there. And from India side, from BARC as well as Ramana Institute, some of the people participated. In that very symposium, one of my friends, Dr. Avdanloji, he has presented a paper. That paper was mentioning that hydrogen and its isotope were found in Veda, and that was Krishna Yajurveda. And he had quoted one verse of the Yajurveda that Ekta, Dvita and Trita are the goddesses of water, and they came into picture, they came forward just after Havana or Yajna was completed in the cosmos. What does it mean? That they are hydrogen, and this isotope is the first appearance in the universe. And that Veda had all, there is a mention in Veda for that. And in that context, Ekta is a name is given, Ekta, Dvita, Trita, that resembles with the scientific name. Ekta resembles with hydrogen, and Dvita is deuterium in science, which atomic energy, they use a lot of deuterium because of transforming the heat. And tritium, Treta is tritium. So sound is also resembling that way. And this way he was correlating that this mention is from Veda. After that we thought that okay, Veda is difficult to understand and go into depth. So we have started thinking based on the line of Upanishad. In that Upanishad, what we found, there is an Upanishad called Sita Upanishad, in the name of Mother Janaki, who was the daughter of King Raja Janak, as well as the wife of Lord Rama. So there it was mentioned that who is Janaki, and what is her work, and what is her power. In that Upanishad it tells. So that Upanishad clearly mentions that Janaki or Sita is the first cause of the universe. And the first element in the universe was found as hydrogen, that we know from scientific angle also, that there is a table, a periodic table, in that hydrogen is the first element. So after formation of the hydrogen, because of this gravitational force, the same thing became helium, and helium is shining stars. So this kind of concept, what Abdanluji has given, is quite okay, as well as in Sita Upanishad is also mentioned. The beauty of the Sita Upanishad is there, that there it is very clearly mentioned that Sita as a nature, as a Prakriti, is very much responsible for giving the is responsible for giving the fuel to the outer atmosphere as well as inner atmosphere. Outer atmosphere means the sun is also having the fuel as a hydrogen and stars. So that is outer atmosphere. And inner atmosphere means when earth and below the earth, this hydrogen comes as a water, because hydrogen is a very reactive element. It reacts, it forms whenever another element comes into picture, it reacts. Whereas helium does not. Helium is a non-reactive form. So that way we see that outer atmosphere and inner atmosphere both are having plenty of hydrogen. And in that Upanishad also indicates that Sita has got the power, there are three kinds of power Shakti. They call the power of action, power of desire, and power of knowledge. In that sloka it is given that Iksha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Jnana Shakti. So what we find that scientists, they could explore the power of action somehow, but the power of desire and knowledge is yet to be taken out, or is yet to be explored. So that kind of work is still remaining, and people can, especially intellectuals or scientists, can make use of that. Hydrogen could be isolated very easily, and for that now scientists, they are using as a sort of electrolyzer. And electrolyzer, they could find out that two kinds of electrolyzer is useful for them. One is hydrogen based, means it is completely, we can say that alkaline with proton, means a sort of membrane. Alkaline proton membrane is one kind, other is alkaline ion membrane. So these two kinds of electrolyzer is quite helpful, but getting them is a little costly affairs. So for that can also be solved with the help of Upanishad and especially with the help of meditation process. Because in meditation what happens, there are four major links of or limbs of meditation. When the meditator goes in the alpha phase or theta phase and delta phase, there is a lot of changes in their inside the blood or inside the brain, we can say, because all the changes happening in the brain. So brain there, they get the changes, and that formation of beta brain side, there is a alpha, theta and delta formation of brain wave, and that brain wave produces sort of good amount of protoplasm, and those, if when lower kind of meditator can give lot of a sort of droplets or can give the protoplasm, which can be used for like a membrane, which can be used as a catalyst for the membrane, and that will be of proton, hydrogen-rich proton, or even hydrogen-rich ion. That is already what they are using nowadays. So this kind of process we can use, we can get from meditator side, as well as the Sita Upanishad, other two Shakti or power, what we said, that is desire, power of desire and power of knowledge. Then those domains can be extracted or can be explored. That way also we can get a good sort of knowledge, or we can get a good limbs for getting very, very economic form of hydrogen. Because hydrogen has to be separated from other carbon element or from oxygen element. H2O means oxygen has to be separated from H. Or when hydrocarbons, their carbons have to be separated. So if this kind of process is well developed, then naturally plenty of hydrogen is available in the form of water, or when in the form of hydrocarbons or biomass. So those can be extracted, and then it will be a power. It will be a source of energy for in future. With this, I hope entrepreneur like Amit ji can take up this matter along with the spiritual master, as well as among with the researcher working in the science field or technology side, and this can be further improved. Thank you. Over to Amit ji. Yes, Amit ji.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful introduction on the connects and the meaningful ways and the cheapest ways to get the hydrogen. This thing has also came in picture last year when the whole world was searching for the COVID vaccine. And I think Germany, they have discovered about the medicinal uses for the hydrogen for the COVID. And this thing we had also discussed earlier in, I think, 2020, when we had a webinar on ionized plasma for the treatment of COVID-19. So there this concept was. And that's where we had thought of introducing this concept, how the hydrogen could be produced from these sources. These are the easy sources, because the production itself, the cost of hydrogen is not that high as the production is. So we will have a detailed of a session someday with Professor Pandey later on, where we will put a complete of a model, and if anyone of interested you can join a forum and can work on this. But till I think you have got an idea that what he is talking about, the concept, it is not a new of a thing. There is already the presence, and that can be worked further. So the other uses for the hydrogen is. So thank you again on behalf of all of you to Professor A.N. Pandey. And let's a little bit give you more idea about that, how the energy is evolving throughout. So we have energy is always a requirement of a mankind, whether starting from the primitive of age to the future, always there would be the energy, and based on this energy we are living on. So all of us know that we have started from this fire and the natural sun energy, where there was no source of energy generation. Then came, it was the industrial age where the coal and other of things were getting used. Then the nuclear age has happened, where lots of work has happened over the generation of the nuclear energies. That was the time also for the fossil fuels and the IC engines have come in. Then we are right now in a renewables age, where we are putting lots of focus on the clean energy generations through the solar and the wind. And the future is of where lots of things have started happening, like the battery energy, the hydrogen, all these things have started happening. So betterment is always the basic instinct of the mankind, and the growth of energy is actually the symbol of the growth of economy. As the economy is growing, so there would be the more of a demands of the energy will be there, and that will remain a fuel for it. So then why this hydrogen? Though we have the multiple of sources, we have invested lots into the solar, the wind, hydropowers, all of there we have invested a lot. But still, why there is the use and why there is a focus towards the hydrogen? So there are the lots of enablers behind of it. There are few our sustainable development goals, that the COP21, where it is the point number 7 mentions clearly that it is the access to the affordable and the clean energy for everyone that is required. And that's where this requirement to go towards the hydrogen is there, where we can have the clean source of a production of a hydrogen. The second of a thing is, as per Richard Smalley, is the Richard Smalley, Rice University, he has listed out approximately 10 problems that humanity is going to face and in next 50 years, and energy is on top of that. So there also we need to look out for the sources of energy which would be more sustainable, not only in terms of the production but for the mankind also, so which will not create any of a harm to any of the other sources while it is getting generated, while it is getting used or getting produced. Thereafter, we also, as a country, India, we also certain of have aspirations. The first of it is the oil bill that is going steep and steep. All of us who are connected today know about it. So that's the first of a requirement, is to reduce this oil bill, which is going to be 100 billions of US dollars today, and 160 billion of US dollars today. So this is the first of a requirement is, and we need to shift towards such of a sources which is which would be clean and can mitigate our needs. Currently, our energy requirement is of a 92 gigawatt, and by 2030, we need to increase it by 5 times. That's a 450 gigawatt. That's what we require. And India also wants to be the clean energy leader by 2050. That's where the mission statement is. So all these are the enablers to switch towards the such of an energy source, and hydrogen is the most one, and that's where the focus is. 3, into this hydrogen energy, there has been policies in place since 2006, but recently in February, we have got up our national hydrogen mission plan. So we will be going to discuss all the things. Global hydrogen demand, if you are seeing, so the different of the agencies have done this surveys, and that is going to be approximately of a 450 of a metric tons to 1200 metric tons by 2050. And there is a certain of a variations, definitely it would be. So starting from where we are today, like it is the global demand of a 66 metric tons, the different of groups, the different of the bases, like if we are really interested about the achievement of the net zero carbon emission, that is a very high thing to talk, but yes, if it is the completely net zero carbon emission we are going to talk about, So approximately that demand would be 446 metric tons that could be, and that would be the approximately 15% of the total energy demand it would be. If we accelerate it, it could suffice up to 8% of the demand. And if only just the momentum will remain, so that would be the 3% of the global energy demand it would remain. So that's where the demand of the global hydrogen is increasing day by day. And compared to the other of the energy sources, whether it is your coal, the other of renewables, the oil, natural gases, hydrogen is getting more and more share. Right now, it is a very smaller one, and it is more into the power generation sides for the grid applications that you would be seeing, but more of applications that would come later on in the form of the mobility sectors and the portable energy, because nowadays the every of an application is going towards the portable, where it is the requirement of a portable energy sources, and hydrogen can be a good of a source over where the energy can be provided. And if we see little of a policies which is going all across the world, so the prominent of a countries we have listed over here, and if you see, they have all the 5 action plans, whether starting from the planning up to the policy level. They have the investments towards the production, towards the demand creation, R&D. So all the 5 pillar system they have worked on, and that's how the demand is getting created. All the top, like the UK is leading the European Union zone, and they are targeting approximately of a 5 gigawatt of electrolyzer capacity by 2030, and for which it is the 90 million pounds of a package for S2 production that has been given. Same way, for the R&D initiative, they have launched the transformation funds and a decarbonization fund of huge amounts. There is also the much of a focus towards the demand creation, because until and unless the demand won't be there, the cost can't come down, because if you are producing and until unless it is not getting used, so the production cost keeps rising. So that's where there is a more of a focus is towards the demand creation side also, where it is the low carbon S2 standards or a sector specific purchase obligations are being given, where they have a limited plans of phasing out the other sources of energy like the oil or other of phase to phase out and put in the hydrogen in place of them. Similar of Australia is also putting a lot of efforts on this, and they are targeting $2 Australian, $2 Australian dollars per kg the cost target is. And the R&D side is more towards the forming and in the marine side. So hydrogen has lots of feedstock uses also. So there, or maybe for the backup powers for the grid, or maybe for the stabilization of the grid also the hydrogen sources are getting used. For long range vehicle requirements, that the public transport. So there the more focus is there towards the demand creation side. And they have a target of approximately 26% of down the emissions what they were on 2002 to 2005 level. So they want to create approximately of a 10% share into the global industry, and for that they have the policies in place. Similar of Japan in this region, Japan is also focusing, and the more of a demand creation is towards the burn of 20% of ammonia, and by 2030, and to lead it to 50% by 2050. That's what they are targeting. So more towards the ammonia side they are looking at. For the R&D, they are more focusing towards the green innovation funds that is there, but it is the inclusion of the battery with the hydrogen. So it is the hybrid kind of things they are looking at, and that's what the reality is also right now. The policy side, they have the carbon taxes and the emission trading systems they have and regulatory they have implemented. Now talking about the India, so our target is approximately to reduce this GHG emissions, reduce by 45%, and to achieve the net zero by 2070. And we are leading over here, or we are targeting to be the global hub for the manufacturing of the hydrogen and being the energy exporter first of the time with the hydrogen. We have a production capacity is targeted to be of a 5 million metric tons of green S2 by 2030. And there is a certain of IST charges has also been waived off. But still, there are the things which is put in red, means which the industry is looking at from the government side and for the promotion of the hydrogen economy. So it is one of the things that hydrogen is still considered as a service, the hydrogen. So there the industry is looking at the reduction of the GST from that 18% to either to the 5% for the gray hydrogen that we are going to discuss, and for green it should be to 0%. It should not be considered as a service category, which it is considered as of now. The PLI is also expected, and government is working on the electrolyzers PLI as they have rolled out for the batteries and all. Similar, as the other countries have given the obligations for the hydrogen purchase and phasing out of the other pollutant sources of the energy. So similar, the industry is focusing towards the obliged hydrogen purchases for the particular of the applications. And there is also a requirement for the R&D. Right now, there is no as such R&D is happening in India. All the plants, those are getting established. All the technologies are mostly getting from the companies who are working in the European zone or in the USA zone. With their collaborations, the things are happening. So there is an immediate need for this if we want to make it a global hub for the manufacturer. So there is an immediate need for the R&D fundings also, or maybe some kind of a waivers for the R&D taxes. There also requirement of clearing out the responsibilities that under which ministry, like here, it is always remain an ambiguity, similar of a thing that has happened in the case of the batteries also, that earlier it was the ambiguity that which industry will take care of it, whether it is the transport ministry or it is the ministry of heavy industries, who will take care of it. That's what is always remain a question, and that's what it is still right now. Our honorable minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, is taking the lead, but on a policy side, it is still a very of an ambiguity is there. Let it make it little clear. So the National Hydrogen Energy Roadmap is already laid in by Ministry of Renewable Energy in 2006, though India has started contributing from 2003 itself. And in February 2022, we have the first green hydrogen policy. The draft says that by 2035, we are going to have a production capacity of 10 million metric tons. By 2030, it is expected to be 5, and in next 5 years, they want to double it. Certain of provisions they have made for 2025 till it is a fee waivers on the interstate charges. 30 days of relief on the banking of the renewable power they are giving. And if you are setting up the hydrogen plants, so open access approvals, those are being given within 15 days, the window is expedited. What the benefit that we get in case of using the hydrogen is the first of the things that we are going to reduce our import bills. The second of we are going to secure the energy for our country. If we integrate it with the solar, like lots of question comes that whether can we integrate the hydrogen with the solar farms? So definitely, if from the solar farms, like based on the availability of the sun, there are the times so when we have the variations into the voltage and the availability. So there we can integrate the hydrogen. We can integrate the hydrogen and can stabilize the things over here. Thereafter, decarbonization, that's what we can get from the uses of the hydrogen, and the address that the climate change issues, that's what also we can look in. So these are the benefits that we are getting over here. What are the different of initiatives that we have in this domain? I have listed out few of them over here, and you can see it is the two colors. One is a little greenish and another is a little reddish. So greenish is where the work has already been started by the companies, and the brownish is where the work is in signed or the planning has been done. So on grounds, we have the electrolyzer manufacturing facility from Omnium. Thereafter, L&T has also established some days back the electrolyzer capacity for the buses specifically, that is in association with Indian Oil. And apart from that, it is the GAIL is doing something in the domain of the production of the green hydrogen, and that has signed MOU with Pipeline Infrastructure Limited, where the Pipeline Infrastructure Limited has the vision to repurpose the pipelines which is there for the natural gas transmissions for the hydrogen delivery. So that is also a very new of a thing that would happen, so that this collaboration will utilize the existing of the resources for the delivery of the hydrogen to the different of the places, because we already have. So that's what the MOUs are already signed up and the work is already there. Apart from this, NTPC has started doing in this domain, and they are right now focusing towards the ammonia and the methanol side also for the productions. So the uses of so these are the different of companies within India. They are putting their efforts or going to put their efforts for the productions of the hydrogen. And this is for the power applications. This will be for towards the grid applications, for the feedstock applications, and later on of which that can be transported for the mobility applications also. So I have listed out 5 of main use cases for the hydrogen for the energy. So that is the power generation and the grid balancing. That's what with the help of the hydrogen we can do. That is the centralized power we can develop. So the source will be there where the power would be generated, and later on we can, with the help of the carriers, we can take it. It would be the fuel for the industry also. So lots of around 18% of the general data that we have, that around 18% of the energy or pollution that is there towards the automobiles or the home uses purposes, but rest of the uses are there towards the industry side only. The third of the uses that could be towards the feedstock, where the industry can use the ammonia, methanol for the steel cutting. So there is the policies that is coming up in the European Union, where in next 5 years, they are going to take only the green steel. So means the steel which has been produced using the green hydrogen will be used. So such kind of regulations, those are coming up, and definitely it will play a very vital role in the near future. The transportation is again a very important use case, where we can, for the fleet operations and for the heavy duty vehicles, or for the payload vehicles, or for forklift applications, all of there, we can use the hydrogen, where we will be saving the cost also and the weight, because if it is the batteries we are talking about, so the weight is a very big challenge, always it remains, and that reduces the mileage of the vehicle also. Again, it is the charging time is again a very big thing, which the hydrogen can mitigate. And for the backup of applications for our residential and commercial buildings, the hydrogen could be a good source. There will be lot more of an applications are, and the applications would be keep coming on for the other of uses also. So before I move ahead towards the green mobility side of the uses, I would introduce you to our another mentor, guest of honor, our source of inspiration, you call Dr. Prahlada Ramarao. Padma Shri he is and was awarded in 2015. And he was with DRDO. He had served in many of our top positions and led to the country at the top of the levels in the missile technologies, whether he has worked with on the BrahMos, the Akash, Thereafter, he was the distinguished scientist and chief controller at DRDO. He has also led the DRDL, the research, the biggest research lab of DRDO. And right now he is pro-chancellor with SVIASA, as he foresees an interdependent linkage between our ancient knowledge and modern science. So he has the very of active interest on science and and the spirituality matters also. That's where he is leading. And we are introducing him to give you the idea on the applications of hydrogen as per his experiences in the aero and the missile or the satellite sites. So Ramarao sir, the stage is yours.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Amit. Good evening to everybody, all the listeners and viewers. And so we are now entered a big cycle. From Big Bang, we talked about hydrogen. Now we are again getting into hydrogen. And what Dr. A.N. Pandey has told, the role of hydrogen spiritually, philosophically, scientifically is fantastic, unimaginable. And it is even mythology talks about hydrogen. I mean, it's surprising. And it's good that Pandey has brought in the concept of hydrogen, how it was known to our ancestors. That means our ancestors knew hydrogen as an atom of importance. Now we are relooking at it. In fact, I am myself working on hydrogen-based fusion energy, not the fusion that is taking place on the sun, which is a high temperature fusion where you require millions of degrees centigrade to allow hydrogen atoms to fuse. But there is a school of thought going on, and in the world, about 3-4 countries are working how to sort of use hydrogen for energy generation at a lower temperature, say 1000 degrees instead of millions of degrees. Then the whole thing will be, some people call it a cold fusion, because the fusion is 10 to the power of 7 degrees centigrade, cold fusion is 1000 degrees. Some people call it solid state energy, because they say it is almost like a solid state devices can work. There is no big generators being used. Third, people say is a lattice induced fusion. That is, you take the lattice structure of the metals like nickel, palladium, and in the lattice structure you somehow trick hydrogen atoms to enter into lattice structure. So hydrogen atoms, once they enter the lattice structure, they get fused at lower temperature, and you get either helium, or even you may get even tritium. So that means we want to get the energy by combining hydrogen, so that it will be one of the energy sources, and it will be lower temperature, therefore definitely it will be cheaper. So this is what is going to happen. And meanwhile, hydrogen as a fuel for energy generation is picking up in a big way in the whole world. The reason is the fuel available, that is kerosene, gas, petrol, diesel, is dwindling very fast. And in fact, it is much beyond what they thought and then nobody thought in 2020 we still have fuel, but we are having fuel because new techniques of extracting fuel from the subterranean has been found out. But this won't continue because our terrain is limited, Earth is the same. So we have to find new method of finding energy source. And an infinite energy source, as brought out by Pandey and Amit, is hydrogen. Hydrogen is almost it can remain forever, and it will not be destroyed. It will be only changed from form A to form B to form C, and every time hydrogen remains. And every time you change, you extract energy by correctly understanding the science, the physics, the material science. And also maybe, as Pandey told, you may have used even philosophy. I don't know. He says you can produce hydrogen using spiritual knowledge. Fantastic, it can be done. It will be probably lowest cost hydrogen generation. But as well known today, hydrogen is being generated by taking water and using electrolyzer. There are 2-3 different types of electrolyzers available in the world, and each has its own limitations, its own strong points, and cost structure. Each will have a different cost structure depending where you do, how you do, who will do. So this is still, in the whole world, it is still fluid. Probably in another 10 years, the world will stabilize on the method of generating hydrogen from water by one of the 3 methods or maybe more than one method, and also how it will be most cost-effective method of generating hydrogen. So this is one thing that will happen in 10 years, and we are part of it. India, as Amit brought out, has a hydrogen policy. India is going to work a lot of research, R&D at different departments and ministries to say how to generate hydrogen at a low cost. This is one thing which will be funded by in a big way, and I think many young scientists will participate. Second is whether other than the scientists can some more people participate. This is an issue that Pandeyji has told. I also keep telling that go to ancient knowledge. How do you generate hydrogen? Use seawater, because today the electrolyzers require demineralized water. They are not happy with the brackish water or the seawater. They want demineralized water. So that consumes energy, adds cost. So can we do directly tap the water from the ocean and extract hydrogen using whatever method? Other one is, of course, various types of electrolyzers. Second one is you do improvise the electrolyzer so it can accept seawater. Or I have talked to one of the Ayurveda experts in the country. There are Ayurveda methods available to extract water, fresh water from seawater. Probably that will be cheaper than using demineralization of water for electrolyzer. So if that can be succeeded, then there will be lower cost water, demineralized, available for electrolyzer, cheaper. Therefore, the whole cost of generating hydrogen will come down drastically. So as you would have seen in the slide by Amit, the targeted price is $2 per meter cubed, kilogram of hydrogen. This is targeted. And some people say it has to go down to as low as $1 per kg. If you want to make it commercially attractive, the cost of hydrogen using green technologies, not using non-green, like using gray technologies. Even you should not use solar also, because solar also is not very green. To extract solar energy, you have to put in a lot of energy to make the solar devices. So I want to say either wind, or you take where you don't use too much of solar energy, or directly use solar energy to convert into hydrogen, convert water into hydrogen. Some people are doing research. Instead of solar cells, take solar energy, convert into electricity, use that electricity to convert water into hydrogen, electrolysis. Will it be worth it? Or directly can I tap solar energy to generate hydrogen? See, these are the research topics which people are very actively looking at it. And the way some solutions emerge, and there is a hope and scope for a lot of Indian scientists, people from physics, from chemistry, electrochemistry, bioscience, biochemistry, even ancient knowledge, the Ayurveda. Can we use all our integrated efforts to get hydrogen at low cost. If that is done, we will have a wonderful solution. What Amit says, 2070, India will be leader for green energy. It can happen. So we take 10 years for research, find solutions, maybe another 10 years to find engineering solutions, technology, then start producing, make plants, make pipelines, etc. So then only we will be leading, because we are one of the heavy in the energy guzzlers, other than America, China, India. Probably India will be competing with these two, and maybe we consume more energy than others also. So we need to have source of low cost hydrogen based energy solution. Energy for generating electricity, that is required. Energy for more transportation, that is required. All the people have made motors which can directly, or engines which can directly use hydrogen to run a vehicle. That is, you don't need an internal combustion engine using diesel or petrol. Can I directly use hydrogen? It will be more efficient, more energetic, and if you produce hydrogen at $1 per kg, it will be cheap. So this is the next engineering, technology, and business model. Amit knows business better than me. So how do we get a business model where you can produce this hydrogen at a lower cost using all our knowledge base? So this is one way we will overcome the cost of energy being low, whether it is for transportation or for energy generation or even any other heating requirements in the world. This is one. Second is energy for industry activities, energy for chemical activities. All will use hydrogen as the main input. This is one way method. Second is, of course, we will see how to produce hydrogen with innovative methods and using water which is available in plenty. Water, fortunately, will be there all over the world, and we should be able to use the water, therefore energy. Now, people also do a closed cycle modeling, closed cycle. That is, use water, use green energy, and split it, get hydrogen and oxygen. And use hydrogen for generating energy, whatever energy you want. Then go back again, whatever hydrogen you consume for energy generation and transportation, go back, combine into again oxygen, generate electricity, and feed it back for electrolyzer. So it becomes a closed loop. That is, you are going back to, you start with solar energy and make hydrogen, go back, combine hydrogen with oxygen, get back energy. So this one, people are looking at it, can we do it in a practical way? So I think we are at the right time and the right phase of Indian science and technology revolution, hydrogen revolution. I'm calling it the hydrogen revolution, so that we will be leading the world in making low-cost, affordable, hydrogen-based energy systems in the country. This is what is our prime requirement, and probably we will make a big way to do that. And in case we succeed in making motors of different categories for automobile application, then the lithium battery-based EV, electric vehicle, will be a secondary role, because the battery, battery has its own issues, problem. And if you are able to store hydrogen gas in your car, you don't need a EV, then that's one method of reducing the dependence on lithium, which has a lot of toxicity related issues. Then lithium is, we don't have a lithium source in India, we have to depend. And there are only few countries in the world who are abundant in lithium, one being China, some countries in Eurasia. Like that, very maybe Africa. So few countries hold all the lithium. So we have to depend on those countries for lithium. Hydrogen, we don't have to depend. It's available everywhere, free. So water is there, hydrogen is there, you make your own. Then you don't have to depend on lithium-based batteries. This is one possibility that will emerge. Again, I tell you, maybe another 10 years, we require maybe 20 years to come to a conclusion, how do we handle long-term requirements? This is what is our purpose. And I congratulate both Pandeyji and Amit for this series of talks. And the whole purpose is to sensitize our younger generation to get into all the science, all the technology, utilize the expertise of our ancient knowledge of science and Veda and then Ayurveda. Can we integrate these things for better purposes? So I think this is the right time, and we induct as many people as possible into this domain, and we find solutions later for a very, as you say, green world. India leading the green world with the lowest carbon footprints and a happy life for everybody. So I wish everybody all the best, and thank both Pandeyji and Amit for this series of talks, and wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful knowledge sharing. And I appreciate that enough of a brainstorming topic you have given to us, not only towards the technology side, but for the commercial aspects also. And definitely the bringing the cost down is one of the very important of a thing. Like right now, if it is the $2 of a cost of a hydrogen is there, so to produce that hydrogen is almost of $11 to $12 it comes.
Yeah.
there it is. So what should we say?
It's a big challenge.
The cost of hydrogen is $2 or it is a total of a $14 we would say per kg. So until unless we don't find the innovative of a methods for the production of that hydrogen, and further of it, the storage, because the production is a one of a thing, but once you bring it to your portable of applications, so there is a requirement of a compressions and the storage, and that itself is a quite costlier affair. So there also we need to look at, and definitely the people who will be involved into this, these things will definitely find the ways, and things are coming up in very near future in a good of a shape. So again, thank you, sir.
I also want to add one small point.
Please, sir. Please.
So our business model and the logistics model require a rethinking in a big way, so that the storage for hydrogen should be made minimum. We don't produce hydrogen to store. We produce hydrogen to consume.
Exactly, sir.
So then the storage capacity should be barest minimum, but the rate of production of hydrogen is synchronized in such a way that the hydrogen is produced at as many points as possible not in a centralized way but decentralized way, and consumed throughout the world instead of storing big places. So the storage, as you say, is very expensive storage. You need land, you need devices and huge tanks to store. Whereas you generate only as much as required. So you have water, produce as much required, consume, and you produce more. Instead of storing hydrogen, you store water and produce. That will be better.
Or maybe the natural gases.
Better business model.
Yeah, that would be less costlier to.
Yeah. Store water wherever you require. Produce hydrogen whenever you want.
Yeah. So wherever actually you are utilizing the energy, the emission is happening. Actually, production should happen over there. So
there only, yes.
Model of a production.
This requires a huge research. Is a big business research and logistic research.
Exactly.
In addition to technology.
And that is very important towards the mobility use cases.
Correct.
There it is the portable energy. That's where we require.
Yeah.
It is a very of a eye-opener things that you have expressed today. So further towards the hydrogen fuel. So green hydrogen we are talking about, but it is not only the green. There are the 4 kinds of hydrogens. Those are getting produced, that starting from the brown hydrogen to the gray, blue, and the green. Our ultimate goal is about the green hydrogen, but there are the sources of like coal from the coal sources. Also, the hydrogens are produced, but it is a polluted source where almost a 1 kilogram of a hydrogen production leads to generation of a 52 kilograms of a carbon dioxide and the 55 kilowatt hour of electricity that is required. Same way for the gray, it is the 11 kilogram of a carbon dioxide. For the blue, it is a 5 kilogram. And for the green carbon dioxide cases, it is the nil CO2, that is the nil emission or the zero emission. That's what our ultimate goal is, where all the stakeholders are working towards it. There are the uses of the gray and the blue hydrogens also, where it has the efficiencies up to 90%. But for the cases of the automotives and for the grid applications, it is the ultimate green hydrogen that is required. And there are the options of productions, like the Ramarao sir was talking about. The production should be at the production should be there at the consumption site. So right now the models which is there utilized across the world is the on-site options we have, where we are producing the hydrogen through the means of electrolyzer. That electrolyzer is taking the electricity from the renewable energy sources, and that is getting transported to your hydrogen delivery points. So if it is in the case of the vehicles, so it is the dispensing points are there. And okay, these dispensing points can fill in the hydrogen into these tanks of the vehicle, and the fuel cell is driving further the vehicle. Similar of these hydrogens produced from these electrolyzers can go to the power backup applications, where we can generate the energy with the help of these fuel cell generators for the commercial applications or for the home automation, home electricity applications also. So these options right now, the generation options are centralized and the distribution is happening in a decentralized manner. That's what the model it is. And the sourcing are in 3 of ways. That is the either the gaseous delivery, whether in a compressed stage that happens, or it is the liquid hydrogen delivery that happens in the form of the liquid hydrogen storage tanks from the generation point. Then the compression, they go to the compression point where they get stored in the compressed hydrogen tanks. And from there, using the dispensers, they can go into the vehicles. In case of the on-site productions, is the producing the hydrogen, and at that point itself the compressor happens and it is get filled inside the storage tanks, and from the storage tanks it goes into the dispenser. So these 3 of methods that is getting utilized as of days. And for the vehicles cases, it is the mostly the gaseous delivery forms are getting utilized. The case of a green mobility. So in case of a green mobility, we have the applications in the public transportations, the personal transportations, and towards the rail networks also. Recently, Germany has launched the rail network also with the help of Alstom, Cordia line it is. So, but the cost is a little of a differentiating factor as of now, because you are storing the hydrogen and you need to invest towards the storage of that hydrogen on your vehicle. And that's where the cost is a factor. So a generic of a figure, if it is, so the fuel cell electric bus, if you are taking, so it is 2 times the cost of a normal battery electric bus, or a fuel cell electric car is costing almost of a 2 times the normal of an electric car. Like I'm taking the example of just if you will comparing the Tata Nexon, which is available in India, or maybe Toyota Mirai. So almost the double the cost difference is there. And the 3 times the normal luxurious petrol car has the 3 times higher the cost of a fuel cell vehicle is. The target it is to bring it towards up to 5.6 rupees per kilometer. That's what the economic target is there in the passenger cars. Right now it is coming approximately of 100 kilometers per kilogram of a hydrogen. That's what is like in case of a Toyota Mirai I'm talking about. So it is 0.72 kilogram of a hydrogen is required to drive that vehicle around of 100 kilometers. So the cost that is economic cost that is coming down to be approximately of a running cost approximately of a 5.6 rupees per kilometer. That is economy it is coming, and it is targeted to bring it down. Now, if it is the powertrain that you are asking for the hydrogen based, so maybe many of you are aware about the battery electric vehicles. In that case, we have the traction motor, we have the auxiliary battery, we have the DC-DC converters for the running of the loads. Then it is the battery is the thing in battery is main of the thing which give you power, and is charged through the energy systems, that is the EV chargers that you call. Here in that case, it is a hybrid system that is shown over here. So we have the fuel cell, we have the hydrogen tank where the hydrogen is got stored, and the fuel cell is taking the hydrogen from the storage system, and the air oxygen, and production of the energy is happening. The electrons are getting produced, which is enough for the propulsion of the traction motor. If it is a hybrid system that we are talking about, so we have a lithium battery also on board, which could be charged. So it is the same of a hybrid system where the battery and the IC engine vehicles are clubbed together, and we return back to that stage where if we have the battery available, if we have the battery charge on board, so we will be utilizing the battery power. Otherwise, the shift happen towards the fossil fuel sites. So similar of a thing we can think of over here, where if we have the hydrogen availability, so we will first try to go towards the hydrogen side, and simultaneously the battery is also getting charged. And if your hydrogen availability is going deeper down, so the powertrain can shift towards the main battery pack available. If it is only the fuel cell based hydrogen vehicle we are talking about, so then only the auxiliary battery or the starter batteries that is required. There is no requirement of a separate main battery. And the fuel cell, the battery that I'm talking about, so it is a stack cells. So it is not a single cell. The hydrogen cells are generally ranged in the 5 to 0.8 volts, and the multiple of cells are stacked together to give the power to your powertrain to achieve the range and the load, the wattage of the vehicle. So actually it is the hydrogen is going from the hydrogen tanks to the fuel cell, and fuel is generating the energy. That energy is enough for the propulsion of the vehicle, and that can charge the battery also. So this is how the working is, and through these arrows you can see that how the energy is from the generation of the onboard generation of the hydrogen, in that case for the fuel cells, to the propulsion of the motors, and simultaneously the utilization of the energy for the purpose of later driving purposes. If we are removing these batteries from here, so it would be directly driving the traction motors, and an auxiliary battery will be there, which would be required for the auxiliary loads to drive. So fuel cell is a one of a thing that we use in the case of the mobility applications, but the fuel cell requires the hydrogen, and that hydrogen comes from the hydrogen production sources where the electrolysis happens. So electrolysis is the process through which the green hydrogen comes in. Earlier, Professor Pandey sir has talked about the alkaline process of the electrolysis, and I think India has a pretty good of experience in this. Around, I think, 60s only at a Bhakra Nangal Dam, perhaps India has achieved that alkaline electrolysis process. But since then, lots of other advancements has happened into the electrolysis process. So alkaline electrolysis is one, but for the automotive cases, it is the PEM electrolysis, that is the polymer membrane or photon-based membranes are used, and that is the most used for the automotive applications, which is there. And it has the uses of the pure hydrogen. That's what the Ramarao sir was talking about. The clean water, that is the here we should think of using the seawater. Right now it is the water goes to the desalination points, and after of a desalination the water goes to these electrolysis centers. So we have an extra cost towards the desalination also. So there we can use the seawaters if we can work on, and we can use the seawaters over here during the electrolysis process. So we have the enough of a seawater which we can use for the production of the hydrogen. And further of this hydrogen will be compressed and transported to the hydrogen dispensing or distribution points. The solid solid oxide electrolysis is one of the also very good use case, where steam with carbon dioxide and that is the air that is getting into this electrolysis process, and we have the options for generations apart from the hydrogen, that is the liquid fuel we are talking about. We have the options of generation of the ammonia and the blue diesel also. So ammonia is the use case for the fertilizations, and there it is the very high requirement of NH3 remains in the fertilization applications for the feedstocks. So it is the solid oxide electrolysis is also one of the good use cases, and lots of companies are working on this electrolysis process also. It requires a little higher of energy. I think for production of a 1 kilowatt of 1 kilogram of hydrogen, it would require you around 33 to 34 kilowatt of electricity, and that electricity can be from the sun or maybe from the wind sources. That's where you can feed in. As I was talking about the electrolysis, so India is the electrolysis process or the electrolysis plants are in a nascent stage in India. We have an initial, but the biggest of the capacities is 20 megawatt of PEM electrolyzer. This is the polymer electrolyzer is there in the Canada, and that is operational since last year. And it is has the capacity to serve the industrial markets in the Canada and US both. The target is to achieve this thing in the range of a gigawatts, the 5 gigawatts of electrolyzer capacity that the countries are targeting. But this is what they are working right now. For the automotive use cases, what we have to look at. So fuel cell is the one of the thing which is being used in the automotive applications, and people have a worry that whether this fuel cell is going to replace the lithium ion cells. So this is the fuel cell, which is the energy carrier for you, and this fuel cell has the internal reactions that is happening, and after of this internal reaction, the hydrogen and oxygen is getting in, and from the anode and the cathode points, and water is as the byproduct of it. So it is a clean emission, that's what we call it. The heat is also getting produced, and we need the thermal management methods for the fuel cell applications also, as we have in the battery applications. But there is a little of a less complexity here we have because of the thermal propagations as it happens in the case of the batteries. it is little safer in case of the hydrogen. We don't face such kind of a things, but yes, we need to do the thermal management methods as we do in the case of the batteries. And as a part, after a part of a reactions, the electrons are getting produced, and these electrons are actually the things which is driving your traction motors. So your fuel cell parts, it is a complete of a fuel cell that I'm talking about. So it is the fuel cell stack is there. That is all the cells are stacked together in a series first, and to achieve the voltage, and the parallel combination happens for the giving you the enough of a wattage for your traction motor. Then it is the power conditioner systems, the air compression systems, and the humidifiers are required, because you are moving out the water droplets out. So that's where the humidifying process is also required for these cases. And for the fuel cell applications, it is the polymer electrolytic membranes are getting as a part of a electrolyte. It is the PEM electrolytes are getting used in the fuel cells. Comparing it with the lithium, so in case of a lithium, the ions are getting produced, whether it is ions are changing its polarities in the case of the charging and discharging. And here we have the lithium cobalt oxide, a generic reaction if it is. So lithium cobalt oxide with the carbon, that is the graphite, is as an anode. And that this leads to the reaction, and it is the lithium ion, those are getting produced. But for this, during the charging process, you need to give the energy. And that energy from the any of the sources, the generation of that energy will be either from the oil sources or maybe from the renewable sources. If that generation of energy that has happened for feeding in the lithium cell for the charging purpose is from the fossil fuel sources, the green emission, the net zero emissions will not be achieved. So that's what the thing is. So there is no war between the hydrogen vehicle or the battery electric vehicle. It is in both of the cases, it would be the electric vehicle, because as a part at the end, whether from the battery or from the hydrogen fuel cells, you are generating the energy which is getting fed inside of your traction motors for the driving purpose. Actually the thing is that which kind of or what is our target to select the green source of an energy. So after all, even the emissions of the battery, the lithium batteries are green. There is no carbon emission happens in case of the lithium battery once it is the power is produced. But once it is getting generated, once the lithium mining happens, the lithium extraction happens, it is a very of a pollutant source. It contaminates the water, it contaminates the air, the production of the carbon dioxide happens. So lithium will never be considered as a complete of a net zero emission sources. So there the hydrogen is a contrary thing. And if we have really the targets that we are going to achieve the net zero emission, then definitely the fuel cell is going to be highlighted and will be pushed. Again, the second of a use cases is in case of the lithium cells, there are the chemistry dependencies are there, which lead to the differentiations into the charging time and the behavior of the charging and the performance of the batteries or the cells. So there also we have a differentiation. So we need to work a lot on the lithium chemistries still, where we can reduce the charging times and increase the performance of the packs. When I talk about the increasing the performance of the pack, it leads to the reduction of the weight of the batteries, giving the more of life cycles, giving the more of SOH conditions of the pack, the health conditions of the pack, and giving you the longer of a range. But in case of a fuel cells, we don't face such kind of things. Like as I have told you that it is approximately 0.72 kilogram of a hydrogen is required just to drive the 100 kilometers of a vehicle. So if it is the meter of a range that we want to achieve, so around of a 4 or 5 kilogram of that fuel cell tank that we require. Right now, the hindrance is towards the costs. Definitely, once that cost would be brought down, the storage cost would be brought down or the production cost would be brought down. So then it will give a very competition to the battery electric vehicles, and then the real fight will happen actually between the lithium and the fuel. Right now, if you will ask me that you have to drive just 20-30 kilometers or maybe 50 kilometers in your city every day, I would never choose any hydrogen vehicle because of the cost. But yes, if I have to go 1,000 kilometers, definitely there or if I'm maintaining a fleet of 200 vehicles like the fleet operators are in case of a EV, then for them definitely the fuel cell would be a use case. So these are the differentiating points, and these differentiate based on the use cases, not on the based on the use cases and the applications where you are going to use your vehicle. It is not a technology technology war is between, because both of the technologies are established one and both are giving the good sources of energy. But yes, once it is the clean and net zero emissions are talked about, so fuel cell will definitely overpower the lithium. Secondly, as Ramarao sir has told about that, we have a scarcity. Definitely, it is the scarcity that we don't have. We have a very small of a sources that we have found out. But in the world also there is a scarcity. So as the more of electric vehicles will coming up, so there will be the scarcity will happen. It is not the scarcity only towards the extraction of the lithium, but as the lithium is getting extracted, it starts contaminating the environment, and that contamination of environment actually leads to the stopping of that mining. And that's the same of a thing that has started happening in the African or the Chile regions, that it has contaminated the polluted the water, the groundwater. It has started polluting, and there is a very big problem has started in those countries. So that's what is again a hindrance factor for the lithium extractions. But yes, right now it is there, and it will be used hybrid cases or maybe into this as a single standalone cases. Small of a comparison. So fuel cell is serving all the criterias of whether it is the refueling, recharging time, where it is the 4, 5, 6 minutes that it takes for the refueling. Thereafter, it is your performance, the productivity, the utilization of the assets, and the vehicle dispatch for the longer of a duration. So all these criteria the fuel cell vehicles are performing, and that's why it will have one of the good advantages. I think time is going up, but I request all of you to stay with me for next 10 minutes so that I can give you some more idea on the comparative of a study. Hope you won't mind. So the comparative of a approach, as I was talking about for the battery electric and the fuel cell. So if I'm doing a comparative analysis, so initial cost of your fuel cell electric vehicle is definitely higher, and you are going towards the battery electric vehicle. And if your fleet size is increasing, so there the cost of your infrastructure cost of your battery electric is going higher and higher, because you need to maintain that much high amount of batteries, the charging systems, the power, everything that you require. Whereas in case of a fuel cell, that cost will start coming down, because the production that you are doing is actually getting utilized once the demand is created. So it is the crossover is there once you are moving towards the mid fleet side. For a personal, as of now, in current scenario, for a personal vehicle, definitely the fuel cell will be a very costly affair. But if you are maintaining the fleet, there you can think of the fuel cell vehicles. On a quadrant basis, if I'm talking about the cost and the range, so it is the high payload. If it is the long range vehicle that you are talking about, or if it is the vehicles which is going to carry the high amount of a weight, there the cost of the battery and the weight of the battery is a very big challenge. And that weight almost reduces the mileage of your vehicle by 30 to 40%. So there, if we are using the fuel cell based hydrogen vehicles, where we have the high payload capacity and the high range, so if both are satisfying, so there the fuel cells are the perfect use cases. But if your range is smaller and your payload is smaller, they are definitely the battery electric vehicles will be the particular use cases would remain as a. Now, in case of the storage, so the storage of the hydrogen happens in two of our cases. Right now, we are using it into the physical form, which we are talking about, where we are producing the hydrogen and storing it into the compressed gas, that is normally if for the mobility applications, that is at a 350 bars to 700 bars. Then it is the cryogenic stage of a storage, and that is a very costly affair because of the maintenance of that cryogenic stage, and then the liquid hydrogen. Also, there are the works and people are working on the material-based storage of the hydrogen, like storage of hydrogen in some pastes, in some liquid organic format, in adsorbents, in hydride format. So these works are also happening. So if this is also a part of an R&D as of now. So right now, physical-based storage is a costlier one because you have to compress it and then store it into the tanks. That tanks are itself costlier. And if we have started storing into the material-based, so there even at a lesser pressure, we can store the hydrogen into the materials and can derive the energy. So some of the paste things have adsorbent kind of things have already in place. People are utilizing it. So in the next of the sessions where we will be talking more about the hydrogen, we will talk about more about those things also. As I have talked to you about the storage, so compressed gas storage is one of the common form of a storage as of now. So density, which is from 40, if you see the bar, so approximately of a 350 bars to 700 or 700 bars that is there. So around 40 gram per liter to 80 gram per liter, that's the storage capacity that we have. And for these hydrogens, and at a room temperature levels, that's what we are talking about. We don't have to convert it into the cryogenic stage or a liquid hydrogen stage. So that's what the density is there. For the storage of the hydrogen, it is your hydrogen tanks are used. So these tanks is made up of the linings are there of a high density polymer liners are there, and which is toppled with carbon fiber composites. So that has the on the outlet side, it has the valves through which we can extract the hydrogen out for the fuel cells, and enough of the temperature sensors and coolants are put onto it to maintain the temperature. And this is approximately of a 4 to 7 kilograms of the hydrogen that it can store on board for the vehicle. So there are again the types of the tank. So this is I think type 4 tanks that I'm talking about, but there are the type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4 tanks. In these tanks, we are storing around of a hydrogen at a pressure of at 700 bars. But if it is a tank type 1, so that starts at a 60-70 bar, the storage starts happening. So what is the ongoing R&D that is happening in the storage domain specifically, because that is a very challenging. The production is a one thing where we need to innovate the ultimate ways of a productions, which has been a part of a talk. And in the case of a storage, again, there is an innovation and R&D is required. And then whole of this scenario will become cost effective, because if you are producing maybe cheaper, but if your storage is costly, so again, everything will remain costlier. So near-term goals are of a storage 700 or 350 bars, whereas the long-term goals are there to store it into the cold or cryogenic phase as a later of a cost. The material-based storage of the S2 or maybe the chemical-based storage S2 storage, that's what is also a part of a work where the research is happening. In case of a solvents adsorbents also, the hydrogen is getting stored. But there are certain of barriers are there which requires the focus of the R&D that might draw your attention. So right now, as I have told you, that is the carbon fiber composite is there, and this carbon fiber composite is itself very costly. This cost goes approximately up to 4 to 5 lakhs for the storage of the tanks, the storage cost of the tanks itself. So there we need a low cost carbon fiber the composite materials where we can store the hydrogen at a room temperature level or for the vehicle temperature level. Thereafter, the material capacity, that's what we require higher. Overall, the system cost will come down only and only we have the innovation in the storage. The filling time is right now, it is the 4 to 6 minutes of a filling time is there. But if we are, that is for these 4 to 7 kilograms. But if it is the bigger tanks we are talking about, so definitely this will also be higher. So there also we need to innovate some methods where the faster productions or the onboard productions of the hydrogen, if we can think about. So that will be a driving factor. We don't have to carry the hydrogen, and again the weight will not be much. And once this will happen, so that will be the onboard efficiency of the vehicle that will get increased on. So challenges and the barriers which we are facing in this as of now is the high input cost right now, and the electricity cost, because the electrolysis process is happening. So you require the electricity, and that electricity cost itself higher. The itself not created much. So that's why the hydrogen market will grow once we have the higher offer demands, and the production will become cost effective in that case. The investments are required here, and not only towards the production, but for the dispensings and for the transmissions of them. The procurement of the sustainable CO2 is another, again, a big challenge if we are going towards the oxide-based electrolysis process. And policies, in case of the policies, there are the different of the domains we had listed over here, but if one by one we go, so it is the measure of electrolysis that is a very required of a thing. So here the capacity targets that is needs to be established so that a cost-effective production that we can align with the demands. And participations in the ancillary market is also very much required. Right now, there is no ancillary market for the hydrogen. So there the participation, so that would lead to the involvement of the common entrepreneurs also, and the cost might get down. Right now, it is hand of the big players only. The collaborations with the global hydrogen alliances are required. There are the companies who have established the global hydrogen alliances. A few of Indian companies are also the part of it. So that has to be open for the entrepreneurs or the R&D people who are into this. And the blending is one of the important things. So right now it is the in the bus, like recently a bus has been launched where there is a 15% of the hydrogen blending is there in the natural gas. So blending is one of a thing that should be refined, and a proper of a policy should be derived for it so that the emission norms we can set. Right now there is no proper norms for the blending for the hydrogen into the natural gases. So these are the things we will be opening the other of a domain. So we will talk about the particular of the challenges in those particular of domains. Right now for the automotive or for the mobility side, it is the storage and the production is the one of the biggest challenges. Storage is itself right now, that's the biggest challenges. And if we are able to bring it down, so then the cost definitely would be down. So in the future of our sessions, once we are aligning, so it is as I have told you, so we will invite Professor Amrinaran Pandey sir again one day for a full of a session on his model on the connects of the hydrogen. Then we will be talking in future of our sessions about the repurposing applications also, because we can utilize the existing pipeline infrastructure. So what technologies, what are the things that needs to be taken care of for the repurposing. So we have for the hydrogen delivery. So we will conduct the session about it. We will conduct the separate of a session about the storage system, hydrogen. And then there are lots of people, we have started delivering on the hydrogen also, the consultancy thing. So lots of people who want to get associated. So we will open up that what are the possibilities of the associations into and the R&D scopes are there. So the date planned up, and it will be communicated to you once for each of the session one by one. In the next 3 months, we have the plan to conduct all of these sessions and to make you aware that what is the latest happening in this domain. And we would love that some of you can start working on this and achieve that goal of net zero emission by 2030 or 50, and be the part of the game where India is eyeing to be the energy leader by 2070. Thank you for your time today. We are reachable on the email IDs through which you are getting the emails. This is our contact numbers. We are available on the Facebook, thereafter the LinkedIn, Twitter, all these places, all the social channels in the name of PRAGYATMIKA. Our website is in the name of pragyatmika.co.in. And before you leave the session, I would request you to just fill in a small feedback form so that we can take your views also for the future of a session. So feedback link is there in the chat box. I would request each one of you who are connected to give your feedback. How did you like the session? What are the things, maybe some of the things that you want to get included? And we would love to take those things